What is an anti-hero? To me, the simplest explanation would be someone who does the wrong things for the right reasons. When I think of an anti-hero, my mind actually doesn't go to anime first. Instead, I think of the Red Hood, aka Jason Todd. He's someone who, despite being a hero, has no problem with killing. Like Batman, he wants to help those around him, but unlike him, Jason has no problem ridding Gotham of his filth by providing a permanent solution. Of course, there are a couple other traits that often come with a stereotypical anti-hero. They're usually unfriendly, a little bit angsty, and probably have some slight anger issues. But none of these are absolutely necessary. Like I said, at its core, an anti-hero is someone who does the wrong things for the right reasons. I felt like I had to start the video with this because there seems to be a lot of confusion about what an anti-hero actually is. There are tons of debates online about whether characters like Eren Yeager or like Yagami are anti-heroes. But what confused me most was coming across the term anti-villain. At first, I thought an anti-villain must be the opposite of an anti-hero, someone who does the right things for the wrong reasons. But according to dabblerwriter.com, an anti-villain is a villain who does undeniably evil things, but their motive is actually pretty admirable. Does that not just sound like an anti-hero? Like, Jason Todd kills people, which is universally agreed upon as a bad thing, but he does so because he wants to help Gotham. After spending hours trying to decipher the difference, I found this comment by Dick Grayson Circus Kid that explains it best. The main difference depends on the point of view that the audience is watching from. And this brings us to Lelouch, my glorious red-eyed king. Even though he's committed some heinous acts, he's still considered an anti-hero because we experience the story through his perspective. We understand his motivations, witness his internal struggles, and most importantly, we still root for him despite his morally questionable methods. This is what makes Lelouch such a great example to analyze. Not only does he embody the concept of doing the wrong things for the right reasons, but his journey also perfectly illustrates the complexity of the anti-hero's path. So without further ado, let's explore how to write the perfect anti-hero. So let's start by analyzing the second half of the quote, doing the wrong things for the right reasons. All good anti-heroes need some type of noble goal that they set out to achieve. This could be something as grandiose as ridding the world of criminals, or something as simple as protecting a beloved pet. It's important that your anti-hero has a goal that your audience can sympathize with in order to offset all the horrible things that they're about to do. For Lelouch, his original goal was to uncover the circumstances surrounding his mother's death, while also building a gentle world for Nunnally to live in. And after we witness his brutal backstory, we the audience can absolutely sympathize with our red-eyed liege. Now, over the course of the series, Lelouch's goals do change. He starts to include more names on the list of people that he wants to protect, even going as far as wanting to protect the whole world. Some may even say that deep down inside, his goal is to lash out the world as a form of revenge for abandoning him. But regardless, I would say for a majority of the story, most fans are rooting for Lelouch because his goals are fundamentally about fighting injustices and standing up for the oppressed. And according to Lelouch, all the goals they set out to achieve can only be obtained through one method, and that's through waging war against the evil Britannian Empire. Which leads me to the first half of my quote, doing the wrong things. And when I say wrong things, I mean wrong things. Lelouch's methods are about as far from heroic as you can get. He manipulates, deceives, and sacrifices others without hesitation. The power of his Geass becomes a tool for turning people into his pawns. He orchestrates conflicts that result in countless civilian casualties. But you know what the most chilling aspect about this is? He does all this as if he's playing chess, viewing every death as a necessary sacrifice on his board. For as much as I love Lelouch, he definitely has a laundry list of evil deeds under his belt. A scene that really stands out to me is in episode 10 during the battle in the Naruto Mountains. In this episode, we see the Black Knights intervene in a battle between the Britannian forces and the JLF. After purposely putting his troops in a do-or-die situation, Lelouch's plan to create a miracle is to cause a devastating landslide that wipes out both sides indiscriminately. But the death toll doesn't stop there. The landslide also claims the lives of innocent civilians who lived in the surrounding areas. And you know what the real kicker is? Despite having the blood of hundreds on his hands, he writes off the excess damage as a mere miscalculation. He jokes about how he should have consulted his physics teacher before manufacturing a natural disaster that killed hundreds of people. These actions and his lack of remorse would definitely paint him as a villain in any other story. But this brings us to one of the most crucial aspects of writing an anti-hero: perspective. Code Geass masterfully walks the line between showing us how ruthless Lelouch could be while still having us root for him, and it does so through its genius narrative framing. For anti-heroes, narrative framing is crucial because it helps the audience sympathize with a character who's doing questionable or even terrible things. When we experience the story through the anti-hero's perspective, we see their motivations, emotional struggles, and the difficult choices they face. But to further elevate your character, we also need to see the cost of their actions and how others perceive them. Code Geass doesn't try to hide or sugarcoat the consequences of Lelouch's actions. Instead, it shows us both sides of the coin. We see events through his perspective as he fights against the injustices of the world, while also witnessing the devastating destruction that he leaves behind. Take the Naruto incident that I just mentioned. While we see Lelouch orchestrating his miracle from his command center, we also follow Shirley as she discovers her father was among the civilian casualties. This personal connection forces both Lelouch and the audience to confront the human cost of his actions. But here's where Code Geass really shines. It doesn't just show us these consequences to condemn Lelouch. Instead, it uses these moments to add layers to his character. When Shirley tells him of her father's death, we see genuine remorse crack through his usual calm, cool, and collected facade. The show constantly reminds us that while Lelouch may act emotionless, he's actually carrying the weight of each decision. These moments reveal another crucial thing about writing a compelling anti-hero: their psychological complexity. While Lelouch often presents himself as a mastermind who will stop at nothing to achieve his goals, the reality is far more complex. Beneath that mask of Zero lies a web of internal conflicts that makes him feel human. And it's this complexity that elevates him from being just another villain with good intentions to one of the best anti-heroes in anime. On the surface, he maintains this perfect image of Zero, the confident, charismatic leader who never doubts his actions. But the author peels back these layers to show us a character torn apart by his own choices. A perfect example of this is through his relationship with Suzaku. Despite claiming that Suzaku is his enemy and an obstacle to his goals, we constantly see Lelouch trying to bring him to his side. He pleads time and time again for Suzaku to rethink his decision to help Britannia, one because he's an extremely strong foe, but also because he's his best friend. He can't help but try to save Suzaku even when it conflicts with his broader objectives. Then there's the toll that lying takes on him. Lelouch has to maintain so many different personas. He's Zero to the Black Knights, the easygoing vice president to his classmates, and the caring older brother to Nunnally. Each relationship that he deceives weighs on him more and more. We see this especially in his interactions with Nunnally. Every time he has to lie to her about being Zero, we can hear the pain in his voice and see the subtle changes in his face. The show makes us feel how each deception chips away at his soul, even as he tells himself it's necessary. These internal battles make Lelouch much more than just a rebel leader with a tragic backstory. They make him human. So what makes a perfect anti-hero? Through Lelouch, we see it comes down to having a noble goal, having a story that shows us the consequences of their actions, and finally having a character that shows glimpses of humanity even under all their evil deeds. Let me know down in the comments who your favorite anti-hero is and why. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.